was Luo English Dictionary, and the other one was Prof. Odera Akang. This university is called Odera Akang University. And Professor Ogot's last work was to do the history of Odera Akang, which means that in his last days he came home. First, to do a dictionary, English Luo Dictionary. The other one is a book on Odera Akang. When I went home with these two books, my wife quickly took the dictionary and she said she wants to teach her children English and Luo. I've never seen that book again. I hope she didn't give it to somebody else. But when I was looking at them in my books, I found I had this one. So I had to come with this, because apparently there was some spiritual connection between my being there that day and my being here today. Because had I not gone on the 12th of November 28th, maybe I would not have said goodbye to Professor Ogot alive. One last thing I want to say. There's really no distinction between intellectuals and non-intellectuals. There's really no distinction, because everybody is capable of thinking intellectually. The only thing is that some people take it their responsibility to pursue certain branches of knowledge so that they can help society understand certain things, or so that they can help people live better. Doctors spend their time to get postgraduate degrees in medicine so that they can teach their students better, or treat people better, or discover diseases much better. People like us in political science, we studied politics because we wanted to know what are the kind of systems that govern us, and why do they govern us the way they do. And of course that got us a lot of problems with the university, because we used to question, why is the university governed the way it is? Because that was a problem. Those questions are not to be raised by people in power, by the way. People in power think that they have God-given knowledge, they should do it the way they want, but if you are a good leader, grassroots must be listened to. Grassroots must be responded to. And therefore, history, written by people like Ogot, help us understand what you are doing as leaders and as intellectuals. So we will say that history is the mother of all intellectual knowledge. Just as when before the Renaissance, in the old days, the church took it for itself to know the basic knowledge for everybody, God was taken to be the one that reveals everything. Of course God does. But God will not reveal to you if you are too lazy to do your own work to know how society works. So today, we in the intellectual world have lost a very important sage, but as you can hear, his brother Madara is also a professor now. So it's something that the family has also embraced in encouraging members of that family to be knowledge seekers and knowledge providers. Awacho kisungu wangenya yenya paro nwa winje kaka wajudu luwa mano. Uruwa winjo. Gimati imre Kenya kawuono. Jomoko rwa gero piny. I'm sorry we have cabinet ministers here, but let me be very frank. Gimati imre Kenya kawuono. Jomoko rwa no gero piny. To gigiwinj gima jomoko wacho. Especially the grassroots. Notu neno ka piny poko wang nono. Nikech what Gen Zs. Nikech sirikal ne timo gik moko mok ber ne jopiny. Okamano. Waruto nwawuok oko kaka jogo mosebedo struggle minga mondo wa support the cause of the people. Mondo sirikal listen to the grassroots. Mondo sirikal ong'ere gima piny timre piny kacha e gima sirikal onego non. Ama sivyo. Omiyo namor ahinya ma brother Owalo biro kaka wuono mondo nyis the two messages were not coherent. Nama sivyo? Because ane mana winjo marach. Kora dwani yani kaka wang'eyo kuma Kenya dhiye sani. Kaka wang'eyo problem mag jopiny nigo. Kaka wang'eyo ni jopiny ko wang ni ke this no onyo no maluto maji wori ya gra ile mo ri mo ko biro mo ko ne pinyi to ko dwan wan ne ma sate wadwa ne jomare sirkal mo ngeni ma jalo much ka piny okolos maber oye ikwane ni wan kanyo mar nego mach wanano na nego mach kwa ng'eyo ni jomwa loso go biro timo gimoro maber ka gidagi to mach biro kendo oye Bwana Yesu asifiwe. Huyo anawacho no odonjonu erokamano ahinya.
Erokamano ahinya. Abende adwa wacho matin ahinya to adwa wache kaparo ngima gi tich ma Professor Ogot osetiyo. And ung'wona nikech nyocha ka wan gi piny luo e Siaya ka noyudo ka luo wapek. Sani gimoro timore DRC to e piny mar DRC moloyo kamiluongo ni Ituri en piny moganda mag luo nitie. Omiyo gibende gik mwatimo e Kenya ka girango kendo ginono ka wuotho kanyakla. Nyocha wan Addis Ababa kacha bende nitie oganda mar luo ma ago erokamano ne Adams Oloo ema noyudo anywa ma Ethiopia mondo bi kae. Ka ne wan kopondo to mosowa ni luo achiel to an aparo ni mito puonje to wacho kaka nowachone kaka ji wacho e Ethiopia. Omiyo we got not just a local responsibility, we got a regional and international responsibility. So allow me to say the following. It is something that amazes me that I come to weep for the death of this great man. That so many years ago, hardly 2 years ago, we were at Great Lakes University. And the main speech of that occasion was made by Professor Wasau. And the topic of that discussion was so abstract, you needed to understand philosophy and knowledge to get to know what Professor Wasau was talking about. It was a very long lecture. And it was based on the theory and history of knowledge. Very difficult subject to deal with. At the end of that lecture, President Museveni, who was in that congregation, asked that he needed an audio and text copy of the speech of Professor Wasau, talking about the theory and history of knowledge, epistemology, like some of our scholars would talk about. Away. Now, recently, again, before his death, this great man, and I want to thank Adams Oloo, when we are looking for those who are going to give the speeches at Pilo, that he thought and determined that whether Professor Ogot was going to be able to come to Kupondo or not, his speech was still going to be one of the major speeches of Pilo. And you came and recorded him, and it was played to the entire world. And I remember when I was in Ethiopia, I met one of the people who come from the great kingdom where the Anywa come from. And they had heard the speech that Professor Ogot gave. And he spoke about the Luo. Who are we? times when I listen to our politicians, and I said recently, if I was Shakespeare alive today, because Shakespeare said you must kill all the lawyers, but I propose kill all the politicians. Because politicians don't listen. They don't listen. They are concerned about the immediacy of the moment. Kakasani, Okero Nikai, Okero, we must remember he is one of the few people who are the first lawyers in this country. Koluwa Agams Kodek. And Okero was a senior member of cabinet. Ndalo Jomo Kenyatta. Me, I was in parliament when we were a single party. There were so many laws in that government of Kenyatta and Moi. But what I'm saying, if you are there without realizing your very essence, who are you? What is it all about? Then we are not going to get anywhere. So I remember what Professor Ogot was saying. Another great Luo from Uganda, Olaro Tul, Mono Achode, Luo Kitwa. So, what Professor Ogot said during that meeting, and that sector of the meeting was dealing with intellectuals or historians, and you heard all of them. It's something which is already on record. When we were burying Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, I quoted Shakespeare, that I come here not to praise Jaramogi, but to bury him. I did not finish that quotation, because Shakespeare said, the evil that men do lives with them, but the good they do is interred with them. I thought that it was the other way around. I had to check it again. That the evil that men do lives with them, but the good that they do is interred with them. Today, the good that this great man, Professor Ogot, did, I hope that it shall not be interred with him. If you look at the history of the Southern Luo, there's a proposition now that the history of the Southern Luo is not just about the history of the Southern Luo. It's the history of antiquity beyond Egypt and beyond Babylon and Mesopotamia. And I can tell you, if you look at commentary that people are making about who ruled Egypt at the time of the pharaohs, and their images, they are not Arabs, they are not white people, they are black people. And if somebody says that the Luos have been part of the history of the cradle of knowledge from Mesopotamia to Egypt to Sudan, I am telling you that that responsibility that you have requires of you as a Luo nation, It requires of you as a Luo nation to be people who can determine the direction where the country is going. And I'm happy about what Raila Amolo Odinga has done in this nation. And Raila, we say Raila can never lose. Raila will always win because he's always on the right side of history. He's always on the right hand of history. Katieko. Ano ka luoro wa adieri. Ok aluoro wacho adieri. Ka gimoro timore e Siaya, kata timore Homa Bay, kik wadhi kuro ka joma paro ni imiwang'o. We are part of this nation. We are citizens of this nation. We are taxpayers in this nation. So when we speak, I don't want to talk to anybody from weakness. I never talk to anybody from a position of weakness. President Kibaki knew, Tokada Ruto Bilongeo. When I talk to him, I don't speak from weakness because I know my rights, which are determined by God the Almighty. Don't turn the Luo nation to a nation Maparo Niwan Wabioga by accident. We are not here by accident. We are not here by accident. And we are still looking for the day that Aluo will be a president of the Republic of Kenya. We are looking for that day. Tomano nyaromana timore kawa odomilo ngano ODM obere motegno ka odio obere motegno ka odo obere motegno maonge ringo anagere kwatimo mano will be the path of honesty and truthfulness, will be the path of doing the righteous thing. Kora akwayo Elisha in Machanigo Nasimu, I have not heard it. The Professor Wewa. And I was glad that you called me. I thought you called me. Kik don't you when Magjo Moko. Kwa ego good. Why ike as a hero of no Rango, of no Elisha, of no Walu. Why ike as our hero? Every watu wanka. I have been here long enough. I've been long enough. Part of his problem. Very difficult days. So he was in charge of one of the biggest ministries in the land. Power, communications, roads, and public work. Four. He can only entertain fools. Nitie jomoko ginyalo bedo ni giria kaya ni jo digri. Inyalo bedo ni ria tifuo. Inyalo yudo ng'at ma ja digri to yamo mtoka malich ahinya to min mare chwer. Koro olawo gi min. Omiyo an akwau kaka oganda maluo ung'eyo kudwere Kenya ka gimuyudo is as a matter of right. We are not ng'ama wacho ni wadhi lemo ni ng'ato mani kelo siasa mag Gachagua mar shareholders. Kenya kae okodo siasa mar shareholders. Wan gi siasa mar weg piny. Wan e weg piny. Ogot ne en wuon piny. Jaramogi Odinga ne en wuon piny. To Raila Amolo Odinga en wuon piny. Joy. Thank you very much. Thank you. Makofi mazuri kwa gavana wetu. Wonderful. Thank you very much. Siso Oloya Gidala, we welcome you to take it up as we invite Dr. Owen to just recognize a few people who have just arrived. After that, I will invite Fred Ogumbo to take over and lead us through the tributes from the family.
Thank you very much, Church. You've been very understanding, particularly towards the university people.